Yes, this is another pre-recorded video, clearly. I just want to share with you this story. As part of the whole quarantine plan, they give you all your meals, right? Which is good because you can't go out, and also it's really expensive. But today is the second time where they've just neglected to give me a meal. And they didn't tell me why. They never acknowledged it. And I would have complained, except that the meals have been so abundant that I have actually been unable to finish some of them, especially lunch and breakfast. They just come with many elements and I often just don't consume all of them. Luckily, the mini fridge was empty, so I've been able to store the food there. And I may do with the things that I had saved, but it's hilarious. I think it's just a weird situation that happened, I guess. I just wanted to tell you that story. Hello everybody, I'm Roxy, this is chatty, and today I come to you with a tag. I don't do tags very often. I don't know why, I like them, and I actually do have another pre-recorded tag. I have a lot of pre-recorded videos, I've told you these already, and I know they will come in handy at some point. Yeah, I wanted to do this tag, however, because, well, I buy books often. I like buying books, but I was also planning to do a video on how my book buying habits are going to change going forward, just to explore a little bit how our contexts influence book buying. And I had actually thought it out as a discussion video. I had all my talking points. I was going to preface it with, these are my buying habits that apply to me, and I don't judge people who only use libraries, who only swap books, who buy books in bulk, or people who are minimalists and only read through ebook. I don't judge anyone for their buying habits, and that this applied to me. I then remembered this tag that I saw on a number of different platforms, but I took a screenshot of a video, and I don't have the booktuber here because I only took a shot of the description, so I'm very sorry. But it does credit the original creator, Megan, from Megan Oliver Booktube. So that will be linked down below. But anyways, I saw these questions and I think they are basically covering the same ground, and it would maybe be more organized and more interesting. I have been a reader since I was very young, but my book buying habits have changed drastically throughout my life. So yeah, let's start with the questions. Where do you buy your books from? As a child, I mostly bought one or two a month or so at a local chain bookstore, and then the rest either hand-me-downs or borrowed from libraries. Then I started traveling with my parents and visiting bookstores. So for example, me being Chilean, we went to Buenos Aires quite a lot. At the time, because it was before the economic crisis, books were so cheap for us. It was ridiculous, which is why I started buying more books. Book buying became a thing that I did when I traveled, and then I started buying books in Santiago physically, and it got a bit out of control. In between, I started buying online. I got to know Book Depository, then found out it was owned by Amazon, and so switched to Better World Books for 2020, I want to say. Went a bit out of control. But anyways, my preferred method is in person. I like browsing, I like the discovery, I like knowing how a book will feel in my hands, and also being able to check out a few pages. Number two, do you ever pre-order books? And if so, do you do this in store or online? I don't do it very often. I just don't keep up with new releases. I've done it once, and it was actually a disappointing read. I did it online because it was a book in English. Pre-ordering, at least as far as I know, is not really a thing in Chile. I know it really helps authors, but again, there are few authors that I follow. The ones that I really love that are still alive, I still have like such a big catalog. I don't feel the need. Three, on average, how many books do you buy a month? Well, as I said, when I was a child, I didn't buy many books a month. And then when we traveled, very intense times of book buying. But if we were going to make a bit of an average, I would say 10 or 20 maybe. It's a bit preposterous. You know, if you take into consideration how many books I've been reading a month since 2019, at least I'm like making more progress. Of course, I've been binge buying since, let's say, 2010 or so. I've only started reading more than 10 books a month since I think 2018, 2019. I'm still not cutting it even. Number 4, do you use your local library? As a matter of fact, I do. I always have. When I was a child, as I said, it was my main source of readings. Then I became a member of a paying library. And then when I started going to college, the one that I transferred to actually has amazing libraries. And they were so proactive in buying books that we requested. And actually, I requested a lot of books from the library, both books that I wanted to read, but also books that I firmly believed were important for the library. And they got them, which was great. Yeah, there I was an active borrower, and now I am an active user of a digital library that my country has, where anyone who has either like an ID number or a passport number but is a Chilean resident, something like that, can use it with their ID number anywhere in the world. So I'm actually still using it. It has such a broad selection. I use it mostly for Chilean books and books that are a bit old or hard to find that might be there, but they have a great selection. I haven't been to any of my new university's libraries yet, but I am looking forward to do that. I am so happy that they are going to be open for this term so I can go study there. Number 5 is, if so, how many books do you or can you borrow at a time? In general, I just borrow them, read them, and give them back 1 or 2 at a time. But during my time in college, it was a bit excessive because we could borrow up to 14 books. 14. I just brought those books, and sometimes I didn't even get to read them, but I just felt such comfort. I am sorry to all the librarians who had to like put them back. Everyone always made fun of me because I was always carrying books. Number 6, what is your opinion on library books? I love them. I also get them secondhand. So if you use Better World Books, for example, a lot of those books are from libraries and they are in great condition. I just love library books. Don't write on your library books unless you've already bought them. Number 7, how do you feel about charity shops, secondhand books? Love them as well. I keep bringing this up, but it just keeps coming up that I love the Anglophone countries' secondhand scene or culture. And now I can't speak for all other countries, but at least in Chile, it's just not a thing. There are exceptions, of course. There are a couple of secondhand bookshops that I'm a big fan of in Santiago, so don't take this as I indict all secondhand bookshops in Santiago, but it's not the same. You just have to have lived both to understand. Number 8, do you keep your read and TBR pile together on the same bookshelf or not? Oh, this is a bit complex. If you've seen any of my videos where I have beautiful big bookshelves behind me, and there we have a library room, which is a dream come true, by the way, and it's such a nice place to just read. There, everything is sorted through category and then alphabetically, and in some cases by size. When I have a few nonfiction books on a topic, but not enough to warrant an alphabetical order. And there I have both read and unread books. Back in my apartment in Santiago, remember that postmodern vlog that I did, link down below to that, or the Danny Picks My 5-Star TBR. In those, I showed a bit of my shelves. I kept mostly unread books there, except a section where I had my favorites. And so basically it was all separated and all designed to be easy for me to locate a book that I wanted to read. Does that make any sense at all? I hope it does. 9, do you plan to read all the books that you own? Yes. It may not be physically feasible, but plan-wise, I've always been an overambitious reader. The answer is yes. That said, I do cull my shelf. It used to be once a year, but I'll do it here as well. If there are books that I no longer want to read or that I've disliked, I just get rid of them. Oh, number 10 is, what do you do with books that you own that you feel you will never read or feel you did not enjoy? Get rid of them. I give them away sometimes if friends want them, or I sell them like through my Instagram account. But now that I'm here, I think book swapping will be better, or just donating them to charity shops, or selling them to secondhand bookshops for store credit. There are many things, but I do not keep them. That's the important thing. Number 11, have you ever donated books? Yes, I have, and I would do it again. 12, have you ever been on a book buying ban? Yes, I have. And I have been successful when I really wanted to, but it's not often. And this relates to the next and final question. Do you feel that you buy too many books? What is too many anyway? Yes, in a way. I mean, I understand that in a way it's wasteful if you think about it rationally. There is no reason that you need to buy significantly more books than you are going to be able to read in a certain period of time. Of course, I would never not want to have a next book to read. That would make me so anxious. And if you've ever seen me pack for travel, I need to know that I will not run out of books. Apart from that leeway, there is no reason why we should buy so many books. Back in Chile, however, and I have talked about this a couple of times, when books go out of print, they go seriously out of print. And because there isn't a market for secondhand books that is as active, it's very hard to get a book. Books that I've wanted and I didn't buy. Either I couldn't at the time, or I told myself I had already bought too many books that month. I then couldn't get, and I never did. So there is a bit of a FOMO feeling. Again, now that I live here, that feeling is severely diminished. Not that it's impossible that you are unable to find an out-of-print book, but it's significantly easier. If you think about how I was able to get Who Was That Man by Neil Bartlett, and it was hard, but I managed. It says something compared to how hard it was for me to get Family Lexicon when a week earlier I had seen it in another city in Chile called Chillán, and then 3 weeks earlier every bookstore had a copy. It's just ridiculous. You see what I mean? I talked about this in my Women in Translation Month wrap-up, so I will link that down below. So to get back to the question, yes and no. I feel like it's not the best habit, but it's also part of my passion. I collect books in that sense. I also like to be able to support an industry that needs it. There are many disadvantages about thinking of publishing as an industry, but ultimately it is an industry. Bookshops are businesses, and I want to support them because I want them to thrive, because they are important parts of my communities. If I can do it, which I am privileged enough to be able to do, I want to support them. I think it boils down to that. And so yeah, it's part of my hobby. I like buying books as a hobby. I like going to bookshops and discovering stuff on those shops and enjoying the shops themselves. And I also like reading books. Those two hobbies are linked, but are not necessarily the same thing. You definitely can be a reader, but not want to buy books. Those are my answers. That was the book buying tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please give a thumbs up, please subscribe and comment the answer to any of these questions. I want to know about your buying habits. So tell me, what is the latest book you bought? Do you like buying books? Do you mostly borrow books? Are you an e-reader? If you are, do you get your books from Amazon or somewhere else? Any and all comments can go down below. In the description, you will also find all my social media and the things I mentioned, the credits to the tag creator. That's all for today. See you next time. Video with the talking pot. I kept getting jokes about the bookstores losing their best customer when I moved. Probably fair enough. Number 5 is, if so, how many